Hello, my name is Daniel Christie, and I'm your host, joined by my co-host Bruce Bound for today on the Coastal Football Agency podcast, Ep.5. And we have a very, very special guest today from Australia and our Balkan friend, Mr. Danny Georgievski. How you going, Danny?
Yeah, good, mate. It's interesting you say Balkan. Oh, yeah?
Yes. Very aware a little bit of your history and some of the work that you do, obviously outside as well. And I really want to touch on that later because I really think that's really awesome what you're doing as well. But look, let's start off first and foremost. Tell me a little bit about starting right at the beginning, how you fell in love with the game. Obviously, growing up in the inner west, and what was it like growing up in the
Oh,
'90s in
far
Sydney?
west, mate. Not in the west, yeah. I wish it was in the west to be doing that. No, far west, man. Look, man, my parents moved out in Australia in '85, so for them, my dad came with his two brothers, and soccer was the only, or football, actually, call it, but soccer was the only sport they ever saw or knew. There were little other sports, but soccer overseas is just a religion. So for us at home, there was only a soccer ball. I don't think my parents still to today know what an AFL ball looks like or anything like that. I loved NRL, mind you, but my dad would never let me play that. So, growing up, got an older brother, a few cousins. So in the backyard, that's all we did. And I just preferred to do that than anything else. And man, fell in love with the game because that's, like I said, all we knew. My uncle was sending jerseys from overseas, second-hand ones, and that's all we knew. It's not like nowadays where you can just go online and figure out things and search and know information. Back then there was, I don't think dial-up internet was around. Yeah, so it was just a different time. So yeah, when I was just growing up playing my youth football, just enjoyed it. I was never one of those players that was called up to your AISs or your state leagues, not even school state league, nothing. I was in a normal school, no, nothing big on the sport department. So I was just being a normal kid and just enjoying my football. That's pretty much it, man. Just at home, and my dad never forced me to do things I didn't want to do. He just said, if you have to do it, just don't do it. And that was it. Even when I turned professional, he said the same thing. He goes, just come back here and work for me in my concrete company. He said, my hands are too delicate to be holding a shovel, so I didn't want to do that. And that was it, man. I just enjoyed playing football. I just found it easy.
What do you think separated you from other players that you grew up with in the same age group when you were coming through?
Like I said, I was never that player that was. I would work hard. I was never the one that got an easy road, and I still don't have it till today after being professional for 14 years. I don't have an easy road, and I think the mental part of it, the mental strength I have, I don't know, probably distilled from my dad or my parents, or I don't know what. It was just a never give up attitude, and even now you look at it and I'm like, should I give up? And I'm like, no, I still enjoy it. I'm still like a little kid. So the difference I would say is the fact that I could have given up along many times being unemployed, not having a club, sitting around like I am at the moment. But then I just look at it, I go, yeah, but that means that they've won in the sense of the people that don't think I'm good enough. So you always have to prove everyone wrong. New coach comes in, you got to prove him right. You got to prove your place. So things like that, I think it's a challenge, and everyone enjoys. Some people enjoy a challenge. Some people crumble under the pressure. Whatever it is, I've just always had that with me. Where even playing the Champions League and all that, you still had to show it. I never was the one to say, "Hey, look, I've played here. I can just slide into anything." When I even came to Australia when I was 26, I just came off a Champions League campaign. I worked like a dog to get to this level and to get to the Australian level because you're coming into a different type of football and what the coach wants and everything. And I think that attitude I've always had. And yeah, the difference between now and when I was younger and kids now, I don't think any kid would want to be broke at 24 playing professional football for 6 years. I don't, it's not something I'm proud of to say you have to do that to get to the professional level. It's just that I was thrown in that hole where I went through a court case to get some of my money back. I had to pay my own way out of a club. Things like this
Wow.
where you don't really hear about it today, where an 18-year-old wanted a pair of Balenciaga shoes. Didn't have that. It wasn't the reason why I was doing what I wanted to achieve in a short football career, which you have, you retire in your 30s, give or take. So that was pretty much me, and it still is today, to tell you the truth.
Do you think you were a little bit of a late bloomer?
No, I just thought I never was. The times I was given an opportunity. I would take it, but again, I wasn't that glamorous. I didn't know how to juggle a ball. You know what I mean? Things like that where people think it's so important to do in football. It wasn't. I would just work hard. I would do the basics right and at a consistent level. And now some people just they have that and they flourish. Some people just like myself don't get to have that massive opportunity. It's just easy. Nothing's been given easy to me. So I think that work ethic, that way of football that I was, just I don't love it, but it is what it is. I guess I can't, you can't hit your head against a brick wall and think you're going to win. So that's just what
Mm.
it is. Just life gives you those hurdles, and always found a way to get across it.
That's beautiful. We had Nick Swirat in episode 2, who's playing currently in
Uh,
Thailand, I believe it is.
Malaysia,
Malaysia at the moment.
yeah.
Experiences in both countries. But said the exact same thing as you 26, 27 years old, little money, sleeping on the floor, not being able to afford basic things. But having those games in front of those 30,000 fans is a contrast, but it covers it. It does cover it.
Yeah,
And those memories that you have.
it's different. I think once you put your mind to it, and you don't look left or right. I always say that, use that metaphor in anything in life. When you stick on a road, stay with it. Don't look left or right or veer away. You've got to do it. You've signed the contract. You wait to the end. You stick to the end. The coach doesn't like you, prove him wrong. Don't just give up. And that's, I think, it's that don't give up attitude where, everyone will say they've never given up, but then you can just see them not wanting to train. It's not just a game. It's if you're playing twice a week, you've still got 5 sessions in between.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's not just, I played one good game, I'll just rely on that. And to get me places, unfortunately, it's not like that. No one remembers your last game. They remember the game that you're going to play or you just played. And that's it.
And let's talk about that tunnel vision. Starting in New South Wales and being able to go now abroad to obviously Europe. How did that come about originally the first time?
So I was in Blacktown City Demons. The rep started at under 11, so I was playing there for 3 years, and then I got cut at under 13s. Mind you, I was one of the good players. Again, don't know why. I think the technical director didn't like me. Well, I actually have no idea. The coach, it was one of those ones where I came out of a trial confident, thinking I was fine, and then after telling my dad I got cut, and my dad just went, "What are you talking about? You got cut." I just got cut. I'm not in the team. Mind you, we won it 3 years in a row, minor premiers or grand final winners. Anyway, and then as a 13-year-old, my dad was just making me run, go do extra work, got to do a trial in Marconi stadiums, which weren't really best in our age group. And coach came in and just pretty much made us throw up in that sense. And I won't forget it because he used to use a bucket that he used to wash his car and we had to drink water from it. It was that type of stuff where I thrived on it. I loved it. And went to Marconi, 14s, minor premiers, grand final, under 15s, new coach came in, I was captain. But again, all the way up to I was 17, 18, we were always grand final winners, minor premiers, you have to win. Like I would score 3 goals and my dad would say, yeah, but you pulled out a crap pass. So I never kind of let me enjoy the moment in the sense it was like, yeah, I always have to work harder. But if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But the drives home were the absolute worst. I used to hate driving home with him because you just proper bashing. But then from there, I was 18. I started playing I had a mama made a video, the homemade highlight reel with the camera and the date in the bottom right hand corner. And my uncle knew some guy overseas, and he was a youth coach for the national team for the juniors. Got my little reel and gave it to somebody, and then they called me up. They said, "Come for a trial." We had 2 friendly games, one versus Bulgaria, and it was just a local, not a local like a first team like your like the Central Coast. I was 18 at the time, and again, Australia had no idea because I was never in that system, never in that. I was probably called up once for a trial, and I was the only one that got cut out of 23 boys. So it wasn't meant to be. I wasn't one of those star players, and went there, performed well. A month later, we had a Euro trial, so I came back to Australia, played for my family, went back to Macedonia, and we played in Croatia. We had a tournament with Portugal, Israel, and Croatia, and I scored the first. Mind you, I was playing right back, which I didn't ever play in Australia. Right back, I played like a star centre back three type of thing. So I had to learn that position. I said, yeah, why not? Might as well. And just because I had that Australian mentality, which they loved in Europe, which was just you never give up attitude, which they still believe Australians are like that, which we kind of are. But, the water's changing that. But back then it was like that. I just kept running, kept working hard, and did well in the tournament. Got a few opportunities to stay. My old man dealt with that because I didn't know any Croatian or I knew Macedonian. I thought it was the same thing. But got a trial in Dinamo Zagreb and said to my mum, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back at the end of the year in 4 months. And she didn't believe it and ended up staying. Had a crap trial, but they gave me the opportunity to stay because I was very jet lagged. They pretty much called me on a Friday, say you got a flight on Sunday and a trial game on the Wednesday. And that was it. Never looked back.
And that's football, isn't it?
Well, that's life. If I started searching up, my mum at the airport said, when you get there, the way they say hello and goodbye is different to what we know. I said, isn't it the same thing? She goes, no. And I was like, so like aloha. She goes, yeah, pretty much. Well, good to know, man. I should have bought a thesaurus or something, man. I would have learned some words to understand. But and then I had to learn the language, and that was just football, man. Just bought a book and just started reading, and ended up learning Croatian better than I did Macedonian.
Mad.
There was you mentioned your uncle. So Danny, if your uncle didn't know someone, who would provide that opportunity for you then?
No one. So from my mum's brother, they're from a place called Štip in Macedonia, and one of the assistant coaches is from there, and obviously everyone knows each other overseas. It's like a small, it's like a village type of thing. Like it's a city, but it's like a village. Everyone knows everyone's business. So he just gave it to him. If he didn't give it to him and he didn't actually take a look at it, probably would have been a conqueror.
That's our headline. That's the title of the
That's
podcast.
It would have been working for my dad, probably. I was in TAFE at the time doing marketing just to say I was doing something. After school, what you're doing? Just to tell my dad, I'm doing something. And that was pretty much it. So if it wasn't that, probably would have been a labourer. And
Crazy how that happens.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I know, man. But again, I never thought I'd be professional. I never thought I'd make a career out of this or anything. That wasn't what kids think of nowadays where I love football. Back then, we only had Les Murray on a Sunday at 11 o'clock to watch Serie A highlights. That was the only football you could watch. Not during the week. I used to watch rugby during the week because that was what was available. I definitely was going to watch the news for kind of fair. I'll tell you that right now. That was it, man. It wasn't there in your face to want to be there, to want to do it. I just said, you know what? Let's give it a go and see what comes from it. And I'm still saying, let's give it a go and see what comes from it. So that was my attitude.
I love that. So tell me, how did it go at Zagreb? What was your? Can you recount any vivid, positive experience that you had over there, or even some of your darkest moments where you're going back to digs and things like that? And
there were a lot of dark moments. Being alone didn't bother me. I wasn't like, a lot of people nowadays, my friends are doing this. Like, I was 18 and a half. I probably only went nightclubbing 3-4 times in those 6 months. Mind you, all my mates were people from school or from soccer going out every weekend. I wasn't that type. I would just go to school, go home, went to tape, go home, training. That was it. And when I went to Croatia, it was pretty much the coach from the first team brought me in. And I had to learn. They saw something and they said, we'll teach you the rest. So I was morning training with the team, afternoon training individually with a conditioning coach or the assistant coach in the technical department. So that was 5 days a week. That was it for a whole year. Had a game on the weekend and maybe a Sunday off. That was about it. That was like, I would say, university of football. Learned their ways. And at the time, so that's what I mean, I had no idea. At the time, was Luka Modric was in the first team. You had these players that were sold that year for 20 mil. And here I am, a kid from the West, figuring it out, I guess, and just like after training with these boys and training with the youth, getting screwed over. The coach, funny enough, went on a 22 match unbeaten streak, but he wasn't in good terms with the owners or whatever. They drew one match and they fired him, and that was my time as well. That was my opportunity. So then I had to go find a club and go figure.
It's really impossible to compare Croatia to Australia in regards to football. It's complete apples and oranges. So I can sit here and ask you all day, what's the differences, what the differences is. One's a religion, one's a sport. And I think that sums it up best. So in your time in Europe, you touched on Champions League before. Tell me in regards to your experiences from that and what you remember, because that's the peak.
So I'll go back a little bit. So
yes, please do.
I went to a club called Midgemore, which was up north. I was there for 3 seasons. I originally signed for 1 year and plus one option, but because it was in Croatian, I thought that option was for me. And I was a young boy playing in the younger generation in under 21s for the national team. So in this whole time, I was playing still for the national team. So under 19s, a year older, my generation, 21s, I was a year younger. So I was in the mix for the national team, which was keeping me in Europe pretty much, where it was giving me opportunities. And my first 6 months at this club, the captain, which played in Bundesliga for like 10 years, he was there, and I said, I'm going to kick him out. Worked hard, and I ended up taking his position, and he ended up retiring halfway during the season because he just said, I'm not going to. He just gave up in the sense he was old enough, he was in his mid-30s, and took that position, was playing. End of the year, we got relegated, but I was just looking at time to play professionally, that next step up. And we get relegated, and I had opportunities from other agents for Belgium and whatnot, which was always a dream of mine, Belgium, Germany, that the Western world of football, the heart of football. And they kind of said, no, you weren't leaving because you've got a contract. And I said that was my option. I go, read it properly. I didn't know how to read Croatian that well. It was like, even now, if you read a contract in English, you kind of won't understand a lot of the things. But the funny thing on that is Australia knew that I was there because they sent a letter to the club saying that you owe us a training compensation. So that kind of could have ruined my career massively. They go, you owe us $250,000, and the club just like looking at me. We don't have that lying around, and screw you over in the sense of. It was what it was anyway. So I ended up staying second division Croatia, which is pretty much farmers. You could use that comparison. You're in villages when the cows going across the bloody paddock. That's your second division in Croatia, and I stayed there for a year. We got promoted randomly, so my contract had to extend because they pulled the whole if you don't play, you won't. If you don't sign, you don't play. We get promoted. They give me the captaincy, so I was a 21-year-old. Wages would be, you might get 20% this month, 30% that next month. They pay for your food in the apartment, and that's all I really care about. The food is taken care of. And what they give you, look, it's cheaper over there, but at the same time, not enough for a flight back. I had to ask my parents to book me a flight to come see you there and back. And then turned 20, I think it was 22. Contract ended. We got relegated again, don't mind you. So from being in a youth system of winning all the time to going overseas and being relegated twice as a professional, it definitely was hard to keep your head up because you're always trying to be positive and everyone around you is negative. You don't get paid, you're losing. What the future holds, you're like, whatever, man, you wing it. And 22, I remember my old man said, what about the A-League? And I didn't know what the A-League was. And I said, Dad, A-League just started when I moved overseas. I go, I still want to figure it out here. I still want to achieve something. While I'm here, I don't want to be the type. I remember reading an article when I was in Dinamo Zagreb a year after that they used to do a lot of scouting in Melbourne, the owners, and they brought kids to the club. And this is the owner, like the main president, etc. And after 3 months, they were homesick. Here I am 2 years into being professional. I'm like, mate, you've just been given this opportunity. And after 2 months, you're homesick. I go, man, give me that opportunity. That's what I mean. Give me that opportunity where the right people are controlling my career. and I just never had it. But I just said, you know what, I'm proven wrong again. So yeah, and had a few things here or there, and ended up staying in Croatia for a club that actually were playing rapidly qualifiers. But yeah, they went to shambles right quick. Like money's randomness lost, and in a nutshell, those 2 years there financially, I from a 24-month paycheck and 7-8 bonuses in between, I received 1 and 12 months pay. So yeah, didn't get paid for a year. And at this time, I got called up for the first national team in Macedonia. So I'm playing like your Socceroos, you would say, here in Australia. So that's massive. For me personally, that's a mate. Maybe Australia will hear about you and call you up. I'm like, they're probably still waiting for that $250,000 training compensation. To be honest, they don't really care about me. But anyway, I started playing, and here I am. Not a cent to my name, not getting paid at all. Going into a national team, playing against Sharvin, who was playing in Arsenal at the time. Zhirkov, which was in Chelsea, in group stage with Russia, and I don't even remember the rest because it was just a blur about it. And I said, you know what? That money won't make me not play against them or make me not be as hungry as them. But it ain't about the money in that sense. And end of that year, we got relegated again, so there's your negativity again. So 3 times in 5 years I'm relegated and playing national team, and yeah, I was like, what do I do? And obviously clubs hear about you being free, being you're in a different category to play for a national team. And randomly this guy could message me on Facebook, and I never gave him my number, kept messaging me, and I was like, yeah, we'll speak, was he still free? So I never gave him my number because I said, what's going to come of this? From one of my national team teammates, his agent called and said there's a club in Ukraine, good money, great money actually, but they're in mid-table and this is Ukraine. So they already told me in the meeting how to get your cash across the border without anyone finding out. I'm like, I haven't been paid in 12 months. I'll be happy for one paycheck, to be really honest, you know what I mean? But it was good. It was a really good, it was good money move, right? And then out of the blue, we're in this negotiation, and I was in Poland with the team in a pre-season camp. This was in the Euros when it was Ukraine-Poland, and through Facebook I got a message saying, here's an offer, if you're still free. And I've still got that offer if I go through my MSN messages. And then I called the guy and he said, oh, it's nice and funny hearing your voice after trying to track you down for 4 months and you absolutely barred me. And I said, what's the offer? Like, you know, legitimately, and told my dad, and my dad just said, you want to chase money or you want to chase football? And I said, well, I never came for money now. Like, I'm not going to start. You know, I haven't achieved anything to make that money. Anyway, he goes, well, they won the award for Champions League when you were born in '88. So I said, well, so they're a big club. He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right. I go, mate, I'll see you in Bucharest tomorrow. And that was an interesting story how I got there anyway. And ended up went there. They never saw me play, never saw me put a pair of boots on properly. And our dinner, which turned into 4 hours, got along with the GM. There's a general manager, there's a club manager, there's a press director, and here I am acting like I was in a club that just had that. Mind you, the club was in absolute shambles. And went through another court case for that. So yeah, let's give it a go. Straight to Austria, pre-season. And the coach comes to me and goes, you have no idea where you are, don't you? You don't know how big this club is. I go, no. He goes, you'll learn the hard way. We get back and you got paparazzi following you home. So I was like, fair enough, whatever, man. We'll figure it out. Contract was crap in the sense of if I didn't play a certain amount of games in the next 6 months, they'd tear my contract. Mind you, the Ukraine deal was 2 years. So I said, give it a gamble. Mate, I took the role as the best right back in Romania after 3 games. Made it to Europa League. Finished first in Europa League with Stuttgart, Copenhagen, and Molde, who were in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the coach as well. I break my leg, unfortunately, through stupid last minute of the game. We're winning, but anyway. And we go through knockout rounds. We knock out Ajax, who Eriksson was in that team at the time, so it was a good Ajax team. We get to Chelsea. We win 1-0 at home. I'm fighting to get back into the team to play. Like I should have been out for 4 months. I was out for only 3 because I was pushing my body to the limits to be able to get at least on the bench or get involved. Anyway, win 1-0 first leg at home. There's Chelsea, go to Stamford Bridge, 1-0 up at half time, mate. You're just going to knock out Chelsea. And then John Terry, Lampard, and freaking Torres decide to play and they score 3 goals past us and see you later. But again, you've got into that stage and Chelsea won the Europa League.
And they go on to win it, exactly.
And the club we're at, they hadn't won it for 8 years, mate. We won it 5 weeks before the end of the season. All I can say is the parties were amazing. Double decker passing fans around you, I was in my underwear.
Yeah, of course.
When I was there, I never looked back of what I had to get to that stage, because I'm at that stage now. Tomorrow's a different ballgame. I'm in my underwear on the double decker bus. I had to catch a 6 a.m. flight the next day to fly out to the national team. So you get what I mean when it's like no time. We had 2 games a week, 4 nights a week in a hotel. I was living in a hotel, but I just had my suitcase.
Yeah.
Lucky I was single in that sense, because I feel sorry for the ones that had families, because their families never saw them. But that is football. Not 1 game a week with a bit of pressure. Saying twice a week where mum's like, where are you? And I've landed somewhere, I don't know, I don't have to walk and so on. She's being a bit responsible, but I really don't know, because it's a private plane. I was in Bratislava in Slovakia playing a game I had no idea, because you tend to forget you go through the motion. And that was pretty much it, man. It was a blur until I came to Australia, and then we're doing interviews when they're like, well, how was it? And I'm like, oh, I can't remember half of it, to tell you the truth. The Google knows where I was. At the time, you just don't have time to reflect and go. Even speaking to you guys brings back some memories, but it's like you didn't have time to think about what you had done.
That's the life of a modern day footballer, isn't it? You're just constantly traveling. Hotels, travel.
Over there, it's definitely it. It definitely has the, I didn't even play a lot of the games that we were guaranteed to win. And when I broke my leg coming from Croatia to there, in those 4 months, I played every 4 days. Because when there was international break, I had to fly out to the national team, play 2 games, come back, and fly God knows where. It was like, be at the airport at this time, or be at this place, or a taxi picks you up. And you're like, all right, just get your body right and figure it out, I guess. Then the next year, we qualified for the Champions League, which was, I can just say, was a beautiful tip-off. I was to write, I wanted to achieve this. I would say, if you make Champions League, you've achieved it. And for me, that was pretty much it. And I didn't realize that when the song came up for the game, and I was like, oh, this is my ringtone as a kid. Like, that was it. Like, it was my ringtone. I would wake up at 4 a.m. not knowing what was on SBS.
Yes.
Like, you had a TV guide, and be like, okay, they're playing. And they'll wake up and go, what are you doing? Like, someone's playing. Someone who goes, I'd enjoy it. We go to work. I'll go to school. And that was pretty much the achievement in that sense. Like, I've made it to this level. What's next?
Now, before we get onto that level, the main thing that I got from those last couple of stories is contracts, and contracts is massive. Okay, in regards to what advice would you give for a young Australian player who's going over to Europe, doesn't matter what country, and doesn't have an agent, only has their relatives looking after them? What advice do you give?
You're going to risk it all. In the sense, there's a contract there, take it. Look, I'm not saying in all, I'm saying in the majority of things. So when I had the offer there, I took it. It's not like I had other offers on the table. If you have an offer on the table, I even have spoken to a few players here that have called me up through relatives, through whatnot, and they're contemplating going overseas. And I said, why are you contemplating going overseas? I go, do you really want to go overseas, or do you want to stay here? Oh, it's a dream. I go, put your dream aside, because your dream is Premier League, Champions League, not even Champions League, Premier League, all those things that you know. That is a small percentage of players that make it. And mind you, those players have been in the system for a long time. Don't set your how can I explain it? Don't set your bar way too high. You can set it up later, but you might be disappointed. Why be disappointed? Don't set a bar at all. Just go and give it. I'll just say, give it a go. One's like, oh, give it a go. What do you have to lose? You're young, you're 20. 22, 19. I go, what do you have to lose? You come back here, you can still work at Coles and make better wages than you were over there. Because it ain't about the wages what you're doing. You're doing it there to get an experience, to see life as a footballer. It doesn't mean you're going to make it, mate. I was 24. I was relegated 3 times. You hope to make it after that? Not really, man. Playing in national team, one of the players I get by me something, I don't have money for it. So I'm playing national team football in front of 50,000, whatever. Come back to the club and there's no money. So it's like, it ain't about the money, man. If you're going to do it, you do it right. You do it the way that it is. So if you can handle it mentally, you can handle it. If you can't, like my man said, just, you have to do it, don't do it.
So when you're walking around the Melbourne City campus, and we got these young players, look at the front three from the A-League final. Okay, these are all players that can be playing in Europe now or in the next 3 years. So when these players, and not even in the first team, even younger than that, do you speak to them? Do you approach them? Do you talk about Europe and your experiences with them? Are they interested and passionate to actually find out and know?
Kolakovsky, when I came here, like obviously being Macedonian,
Yeah.
said I never really met him. His cousin and my wife are best friends, so that's just how I call Melbourne. Everyone knows someone about someone.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah.
But yeah, he came up and he had a chat and he goes, like, was it your dream? I go, a dream? No, it's more like a nightmare. But it was a nightmare I was willing to sleep with. Because he got me to where I am now. I'm probably not in the best position now. Doesn't matter because I did it. That's what I wanted to do. There's no right or wrong. There's no formula. At the moment, they're already a step ahead, heaps of steps in front of me, because they're already playing professional. I went there without no experience whatsoever. I went there with no knowledge whatsoever. Agents here are left, right, and centre, but you have good agents that will take you. I had nobody, man. I had a guy that was a manager, which was a gambler. Didn't know anything, didn't know what he was saying because he was speaking a foreign language to me. Nowadays, it's different. So the sense that they know what's out there kind of sets them back a little bit. The first thing I say is I hope you make the decision that you're happy with. When you make it, go straight on that road, man. Don't turn left or right. Don't look what the other person did or I should have done that. I've had plenty of times that I said should have signed with that person. Should have gone to that place. Should have done this. No one cares. Move forward. Keep going. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. You can't. If you look back too much, you forget where you're going. Because then you start being angry at yourself. Like, you signed the sign and go forward. Go. Just do it, man. It's on the table. Not possibly I can get here. No. What's on the table is what's certain. Not what the possibility is, because people can steal your dreams. Sorry to say. It doesn't really happen. Reality is reality. Dream's a dream. So for them, for a lot of the young players, I just say to them, I go, what do you want to do? You want to stay here, make a name in the A-League? There's nothing wrong with the A-League. In my eyes, I find the A-League hard. When I came to Australia, I was still playing for the national team. I would fly back for a couple of games, and I found playing there easier than it was here.
Wow. How so?
Just the tempo, man.
Yeah.
I call it a lot of unnecessary running, but that's
Okay.
the way it is. As you get older, the maturity of football, you learn the positional play, right? But nowadays, it's technology. You can't get away from anything. Back then, you can get away with it because the coach will be looking over there. You're back there, but you know where to be. I don't need to run that extra 15 meters.
That's right.
They want you to run that extra 15 meters. You tuck in my position. Tuck in. You have to be here. You have to be there. Okay. But if I know the ball, unless it's David Beckham going to put that ball in, it's not going to happen because I already know. But they wanted to do it, to be here. If you have to do it 10 times and a half, it's an extra 100 meters of sprint. I wonder why they, 60th minute, start to die out. It's the knowledge of football, but nowadays just it is what it is. It's all technology based. You can't hide from anything, and the stamina has built up quite a bit. I was and still am quite large on stamina, where I can last the 90th minute, running a consistent level. But nowadays, it's just a whole different ball game in the sense that you can't hide. I call it cheating. Cheating. Nowadays, you can't really cheat, can you? But I say, yeah, but I go, put that ball in, see who gets there. That's how I interpret it again. But that's been doing it for 15 years at a professional level.
Great question, Bruce, and great answer. Going back to Romania now, coming off that fantastic season, qualifying for Champions League, and coming off, your experiences at the beginning, how did that culminate in that following season?
Didn't have time to really enjoy it, if that makes sense. It's not like a movie where you're enjoying that. I had to go to the national team, so I had to fly to Macedonia, then we flew to Sweden. Mind you, I was that pissed for after the game that I didn't realise that I tore my quad. So I went to Sweden, I'm like, get to play against Ibrahimovic, and the day before the game, I'm like, man, what a little tear in my quad. I got a little something in my quad, I couldn't even run. But mind you, we already flown there. So I flew there, didn't get to play. Had to fly back, took a scan, I was out for a week. I only had 10 days for a holiday. But go back to Romania, do a pre-season, and do a Champions League qualification. So there was no summer break that was just the league that I played in. That was the Eastern Bloc. It's different. You have to play 3 qualifiers to make it to the Euros or to whatever. Season started earlier because you have the winter break, so December, January, you're pretty much out and you're doing the pre-season. So because of that league that I played in, the biggest break was your winter, which then I'll come to Australia because I'm not staying in snow. I don't like mountains. Skiing. I like go to the beach, but don't swim because I can't swim. But that was pretty much it. So I didn't have time to lift my head. So went to Sweden, came back, stayed in Macedonia for a week with my uncle or whatever. Flew to Romania, and then we fly to Austria or Spain. I think Austria. In the summer, you go to those countries, which is the temperature's better. And 1 month pre-season, 2-3 training sessions a day for a month. You're ready, and then back on that horse and playing your qualifiers, league starts, cup start, and then you just go through the journey again. Repetition, and we made the qualifiers. The Champions League qualification, we passed it, got to the group stages, got to play against Schalke, who's that other club? Schalke, Chelsea, and the Warriors. Basel. And that's the group stage. I have to fly the next day to go to the national team game. So you don't have time to enjoy it or to be like, holy crap, what am I doing? Because everyone around you is in the same boat, and you're pretty much like one massive family where you've got your own chef coming to the hotels with you. You've got a big staff. You have a plane, half of it's the staff, more than half of it just the staff and the rest of the players. So it's a big thing. So yeah, didn't really have time to sit back and relax, and then come towards the end of the first half of the season, and contract's ending in 6 months, and the owner went to jail. Eastern Bloc, go figure. I don't know, things just started to change. Like, I was coming back, I came back from a broken leg. I've got a plate and screws in my leg, so I'm playing through all this pain. I couldn't turn left because of the plate and screws. I fractured another bone in the bottom of my foot, so I'm playing on injections and injections in the bone of painkillers because I just needed to play. I don't care for pain. It won't break. They go, nah, well, give me a painkiller and let's go through it. And that was pretty much me for a year. And come to the end of the year, my last game was pretty much for the club as a starter was, I think it was December, or end of November or something like that. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea. We lost 1-0. And then they didn't let me go because I had an operation to take the plate and screws out. They screwed me around. Come January, had an offer to go. My agent came to me and he goes, is the club interested, etc., transfer fee, etc. Club said, no, we need him to win the league. Again, I'm a loyal person, I'm a respected person. I go, yeah, no worries. The reason I say because that was the last time I played was in November. Was the 19th man. I was a squad player for every game, so I had to go into the hotels, be with the team, and then sit in the grandstand for 5 months.
That's ridiculous.
And, funny enough, didn't get paid either.
What?
Wow.
I was the only player that didn't get paid. So
how do we stop this?
Sorry?
How do we stop this? Same with Mustafa Amini. There's countless stories.
This is the thing. They say you're allowed to leave a club after 3 months. Okay, we're going to go after 3 months, middle of the season.
Not many places.
Go to court. My court case after Croatia took 2 years. When I came to Australia, court case just finished. And I had to give up a lot of the money because they couldn't pay me the interest, let alone the rest of it. Just the way that it was, mate. But again, I would do it all over again. That's the thing. I will do it all over again. I understand money is a massive thing. I get it. I've got a little boy. Massive thing. Wife, little boy. It is a big thing. But at the end of the day, that'll come and go. The legacy that you leave, I can speak to you guys all the time. You can speak to young boys. You might make a career out of this. Whatever it is, no one can take that away from me. No one can tell me otherwise. Because when you sit on the table and have all these rich people, all these players that made a lot of money, I just put my hand and say, who's played Champions League?
Love
Nothing
that.
wrong with that. But again, for me, that's what I wanted to achieve.
That's a sacrifice so many.
Sorry,
I was going to say that's just a sacrifice so many guys we speak to in Australia aren't willing to make. You see, and that's a lovely insight from you.
The first thing I say to young boys, I hope you don't have to go through what I had to go through. I really don't. I wouldn't want that for my son. I wouldn't want that for anybody. If I wouldn't want it for my son, I wouldn't want it for anybody else. So I just say, you do what life deals you. What card life deals to you, man, take it. If you don't, you can always come back to this country, because I was in the Eastern Bloc for 8 years, man. You can be a doctor. You'll be on less money than the person that works in Coles here. And you studied 8 years, because that's just the way it is. So I saw that part of life. When I came here, I was like, man, you guys have it easy. Came to Mark and Melbourne Victory. Mind you, I didn't know what Melbourne Victory was. What the name was, I thought, what kind of name is that? To be brutally honest, I didn't know the A-League.
Yeah.
Victory. I go, when was the last time they won? They go, about 7 years ago. I was like, well, that was a victory. You know what I mean? I found it different. Anyway, I went through Ep.5. We got a tour of where it was, and I was like, damn, boys, I go, you guys have good showers here.
I know, yes.
So you guys have better facilities than Stamford Bridge guest changing. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. And I go, I'm pretty sure if you don't give the right socks in, the boys will get angry. They go, yeah. I go, God damn, man, I used to wash my own underwear, put on the heater before training. You know what I mean? Like, just a different world. I looked at it in that way. From being a kid that lived at home, mum did the washing, to go over there and I didn't get a kit. I had to just use the same kits all week round. So I had to learn to, in the shower, wash my underwear and socks and in the snow and all that stuff. So, you know what? Why not? So kids nowadays, yeah, it's a different world that we live in. That's why I can't say this is what I did, this is what you guys will have. You guys are already a step ahead of what I did, what I was able to do. I was just one off that actually got to make it to that level. For me, I'll just say, no, listen to the guy that actually ended up doing something. I like to listen to the guys that didn't. I like to hear their stories out. You know, say, well, listen to somebody else's story. Maybe that angle might help your decision or might push you a bit forward. Because it's pretty much a lot of his luck. Right place,
Yes.
time.
That's excellent.
Everyone, thanks for tuning into Pros Around the World. I hope you're enjoying yourselves here. I just wanted to take the time to reach out to all aspiring professional footballers from around the world wanting to gain that extra advantage to their game through online fitness coaching. We offer all levels of packages to all level of footballers that come with full support to your goals. And last but not least, having access to the Coastal Football Agency's network. So if you are looking to better yourself, broaden that network in your horizons to gain trials and opportunities, click the link in our bio or go to our website at www.coastalfootballfit.com. Cheers, guys.
There's some really good takeaways for that as well, for players that they need it. Just the mentality side of things as well. But before I want to get into the back end and your experience playing over 100 games in the A-League across 3 different clubs now, tell me, in a modern day scenario, I know it's a little bit different with video calls and stuff like that, but when you have a player, an agent, the CEO on the other side of the table will say, how does that modern contract negotiation actually work in this day and age compared to what it might have worked 10 to 15 years ago?
I'm quite lucky that my agent's quite well. You don't have too many agents in Australia. There's only a
You've had the same agent always?
When I came to Australia, he was the guy that helped me out with the Australian asking the FFA asking for that $250,000. He helped me out in the sense of got me out of that. So I said if I was to ever come to Australia, told my dad, we're going with him. He wasn't even an agent then. He was just involved in the football, loved the football, and he still now has like 30 players in the league. So for me, it was easier. Yeah, you have players that have their agent, they don't call them back. That still happens still today because they're probably not as profitable as other ones. I can only speak about my experience in Australia. Wasn't so hard because even when CEO or someone called me and said, I want to bring you in, my agent already found out. It's a small market in Australia. Overseas, you've got first, second, third division. You've got countries just over the border. So it was a different ballgame over there. You've got, man, I can honestly say if my last name wasn't so Balkan, as what you mentioned earlier on, my life would have been probably different, much different, 100%. You get straight away put into a category as you're a Balkan player. I had one club I think it was Club Brugge or Anderlecht, they were very interested and then pulled the pin. Then I find out it's because an agent from Serbia said that they have to pay him $1 million because I was his player. Mind you, I'd never heard of this person. I heard it from about 10 other Balkan agents. I go, man, I'm from Australia. You know what I mean? Who are these people? You know what I mean? So hence why I say that definitely interfered with my career. But what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. Man. So to answer your question with agents, when you have no control, the only control that us players have is what we show on the page. What we show on TV, what the fans say, what you guys say, what everyone says. That's the only thing we can control. The agents, the CEOs, the clubs, you can't control that. So hence what I just say is, I'm in that situation now, I'm a free player. I can do my hitting as much as I want. You won't get me anywhere. It's out of my control. And in my mind, when it's out of your control, why are you going to do your hitting? I know a lot of people don't like me. That's fine. If you don't know me, that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't really affect me. If you know me, you'll know who I am. I don't persuade you to tell you who I am. Persuade you maybe once, but then the next time you see me, you're like, you're different. But that's how it is. You can snake your way into one contract, you would say. The next one, you get a bad name. But that's out of your control. There's certain things you can control. That part there, I've had a smooth transition with the 3 clubs that I've gone to. Or 4 now. Yeah, at Melbourne City.
Have you ever had to actually go into the boardroom and it like in FIFA, literally, Danny? You know what I mean? Is that actually real life, or is it all done behind the scenes?
That's movies, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you talk about, I hate talking about finances.
I know.
I
Yeah.
sell myself, so you're an agent. But if I was to have to sell you, I know how to do it. But you're the product, so we're pretty much just a product. We're like a bottle of water that they throw out. The problem is that bottle actually has a life and a
I
fan.
know.
And you're a product. You're an item. That's pretty much it. If you don't like it, don't get involved in football. Don't get involved in entertainment. To be honest, don't get involved in anything because it's the same thing in a big company as well. You're just a number. That's how it is. So with that, man, the offers get sent to you. What gets done in between, the agent will do. The agent will know. I've actually gone through the financial part with one club and thought it was all good. Told my agent, he goes, yeah, I know. I'll get you more. And he did. And that's it. That's why you're like, well, you do need him at the end of the time. But I'm only talking about my experience. I'm not saying I'm talking about my agent. There's other agents that are different that are, X, Y, Zs. I'm only going to tell you my experiences were quite smooth with him. Overseas, Jesus Christ, it was a whole different ballgame. Like I said, I started learning German. So Guten Tag, all that stuff, man. I was ready for it, and out of the blue, it just gets taken right under you. Don't know how, why. You end up finding out why when some were very disappointing. You're like, how? It's the way that it works. Do your head in, cry about it. Would it get me anywhere? No. still free play trying to figure it out. It's out of your control. And what you can do is just, I don't know, I guess it's probably the third time I've been unemployed in my life, so now I'm different to what I was probably 7 years ago when it first second happened to me.
Now, you made an interesting comment before. I want to understand from you, when you return back to Australia, you are Australian.
I'm back. I
Yeah.
changed that part there because I was never in the A-League, never in Australia properly as a professional.
That's what I mean. So when you did return, did you feel that you because you said right at the start you had to double down completely, where I'd think someone who's coming from that level down to Australia should be appreciated, almost celebrated.
Should, but knowing how my career has been, sorry, it doesn't even matter. You can take me and be the main player. You can take me down into the park soccer. I won't just prance around. Just not me. I'll be the one running that 12 Ks. That's just the way that I was. I came here from a Champions League campaign and I put my head down and trained and asked for more training sessions because that season was just about to start. And that was it. What you think it should be, it depends on the person. I'm only talking about myself here. Next club I'll go to, let's just say, first week, 2 weeks, different border. Then you get into the level of what is comfortable for me and then just continue on that. You can come in with a name, but if you don't really perform, no one remembers what you did the year before, or the game before, like I said earlier. So what are you going to do now? First game was against Wanderers, man. I cramped like a dog on the 60th minute. Mind you, I just came from 2 years in Europe, higher level than what it was here. I didn't cramp once. Cramping was a thing I had to adjust in Australia because even though Melbourne's cooler, it's a different type of climate, different type of football. Fields were harder. You have to adapt to it. So you have to adapt to every little thing. And even though I've been here in Australia, you have to adapt to everything. I was in Melbourne City for 6 weeks. I have to adapt to them. If I worked, if you worked, it worked. If you didn't, there's no such thing. It didn't. It has to work. Because on my end, I can control what I do. And that's the only thing I say to players. What you can control, do it well. Don't point the finger. Because that's what everyone else does. The club always point the finger. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. Don't give them the reason to do that. And that's all you can control.
And your favourite experiences between, I know you've had a short time at Melbourne City, or you did have a short time at Melbourne City, but what for you was key takeaways? You had some very good coaches in those times, mind you.
Coming to Melbourne City, I think coming here made me enjoy myself again. Even though it was a short amount of time. His Norbo runs a tight ship here. And it was fun. Worked hard, it was fun. I don't want to talk about where I come from. That's it, before I came to Melbourne City. Being there made me enjoy it. It got me emotional. Because all the crap that I'd gone through, I'm like, I'm at this age, I'm going to go through it again. Coming to Melbourne City made me change and enjoy it again and be happy. Coming every day, being happy, genuinely happy. I'm always happy, but I wasn't happy. No one saw it. And the people very, very close to me. Coming to Melbourne City, I was genuinely happy. And I couldn't, and I even told BK, I told a few players, I go, you guys understand what it means, need to be here. My contract ended because it was a injury replacement. I don't care. I just wanted to come. And I stayed till the end of the final. They asked me to stay, and I stayed because I said, I'm giving back what you gave me. Something that is not tangible. Something that's very close to my heart, which made me enjoy myself again. Something that's simple, put the biggest smile on my face every day. That's what I look at. That's what I did look at. And I can only be indebted. I'm indebted to him because of that, and I told him that.
Last question.
It's a bit deep, I know, but it really was that deep feeling of emotion when I got here. For sure.
Love that.
That's key. That's key. It's hard to replicate.
Happiness. Man. You realize a lot of things at the end of the day. It's just happiness. All the stuff, it's all great. Man. Like I said, I'll do it all again. And if it got to this, I just really want me, my wife, and my little boy to be happy. That's really what you look at. We're all happy, man. That's the best. That's a proper formula for success. And I always look at it. I get to share this experience with people that I love, that I'll be around for the rest of my life. And that's how I look at it at this age now. When I was 25, dude, I just wanted to party and enjoy life. Different back then, different what it is now.
Thank you so much for that response. That's awesome, and it gives a good insight onto, like you said, those values and beliefs that you grew up with from a young age. And this is translated throughout your whole life and something that you carry on. But the last thing that I wanted to ask you is that if you could change things in regards to how the A-League is run and how the teams, coordinate their business, what would you change?
I think it's gone through a transition now, a massive transition with new TV rights. When I came to Australia, it was the 14-15 season, which was the peak of the A-League from what graphs and statistics had shown. But then when it was declining season by season, you look at it and you're like, we're just the players at the end of the day, but when you can see it as well. So what's going on here? And then the pandemic hit, and you see how it was run deeper. And you just shake your head. You're like, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. Like, this has to change. And my belief is strongly that now with Channel 10, clubs will have a vision for the future. A lot of clubs don't. They don't have a 1-2 year plan. NPL clubs have a deeper future than what some of the A-League clubs have. Because you get to know not just the clubs you play for, you get to know other people. Through the whole pandemic, a lot of things was taken, was shown to us. And what you hear, not what you hear, what you actually see, and you're like, man, the Park soccer team has more future than some of these professionally run clubs, and people involved in that. And you're like, well, now I reckon with being in Channel 10, it's not just the people's fault, it's just the way everything was structured, everything was done. I personally believe it's going to slowly get to where it should be, because someone said it 25 years ago. I'm not sure who was it. Someone from AFL, and I remember this quote. He said, "Football is a sleeping giant. Someone just needs to wake it up." And that was someone in the AFL that said it, which I can't remember the person, I can't remember the name, but it was massive. And that sentence there made it all like it just made sense. It's a sleeping giant. So I'm hoping that, I believe that now it's going to wake up slowly. Yes, the pandemic's hit, mate. Financials ruined a lot of things, but it's not just finances that get you. Bums on seats get you. And that's how it'll be, because there's 1.2 million kids playing the game. They're there. That's the monster. That's the giant. Wake it up. And I believe that now I'll be probably retired when this happens. I would love to still be involved in it. But
yes.
I believe that it should get to where it was.
In what capacity do you want to be involved?
Oh man, whatever, we'll see.
Coaching?
I've already got a couple of badges.
Yeah.
I did it for shits and gigs, to be honest. I enjoy it. It just comes naturally to me. Like I said, holding a shovel didn't come naturally to me, so I didn't do concrete. It was just football. And if this comes naturally and someone thinks I could be an asset, I'll definitely do it. I'll retire tomorrow. Because I would like to stay in the game, because, like I said, it just comes so naturally to me. And I enjoy it, and I understand it. Whether it's coaching, whether it's whatever, man, I would still want to be around football. But if not, like I said, man, just wing it, and I'll probably end up on the shovel. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You just know, man. That's what I mean. It's just life, and like I said, it doesn't bother me, because people, you'll be a name at the end of the day. Oh, you did this back in the day. Yeah, whatever. I did it. It was great. It's fun. Do it again, 100%. It's a good story to tell. But what the future lies, unfortunately, I can't play football till I'm 60. What is it, 66?
65, yeah.
67, you get your pension or something?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, man. It's half the age. I told my man, you're going to retire when I retire. He's 30 years older than me, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's it. It's just, you've got a whole life ahead. I just say people go to uni, change their perception, change their profession, in the mid-30s, late 30s. Why not, man? Young boy, you're young, still 24. Oh, but mate, what do you mean? Imagine going and getting a HEX for the last 8 years and you hate what you're doing. When you did science and you don't want to do science anymore, you're a psychologist, you want to be a psychologist. It's the same thing, man. Just that you're a kid. I didn't want to be a fireman when I grew up. So, I like football. It's easy. I enjoy it. I enjoy learning from it, even though I hate running. Go figure. Just easy. Whatever comes easy to you, man. I just say, just take it and run, man, and go until you can't anymore. And that's the same in life, I say, man. It's just, as a plumber or accountant, whatever it was, man. I was studying to be an accountant. I love numbers, go figure. But that's how it is, man. I say, if I enjoy it, we're in a country where you can just pack up your suitcase and go do something else. Because we are quite lucky in this country. That's how hard it is over there.
Yeah.
Don't mean anything, man. It's a different market we've got here. That's why I always say, I always knew I would live in Australia. Mind you, I left when I was 18. Best country in the world.
Beautiful. And that's a wrap. Thank you very much.
It is a wrap, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Danny Georgescu. Thank you very much, Bruce, for joining us today.
Thank you too much, to be honest, man. He's just sitting back.
Yeah, no. Just take it all in, mate. No, it's very, very interesting hearing your story and your side of it, because I myself, I've been all around the world playing and just overseeing it in many different ways. So love hearing your story, mate. It's an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much for coming on.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been fun. It's brought back memories. Good and bad, but I always say it's good because you always have a smile on the face, man. Life's too good, even in a lockdown.